reverse engineered the precise recipe for Roscoe's chicken and waffles during a hyperfixation, and I had no intentions of sharing it, but since they're being canceled by the internet, I thought I'd share the recipe with everyone. And I don't mean just a good chicken and waffles or a similar chicken and waffles, theirs. It starts with a very basic brine, just some salt, sugar, and boiling hot water. I stir this to dissolve, and then I just let it sit until it cools down. I washed both my chicken and my tray off camera, so don't come for me, and I also plucked the feathers off, and now I'm putting it in the brine. Once I'm done getting them all in the brine, I cover it up with ice, and then I let it sit in the fridge overnight. The first thing I want to discuss is the appropriate waffle iron. Roscoe's does not use a Belgian waffle. They use a round classic waffle. As of the last time I checked, the United States only sells 3 round classic waffle makers outside of the ones that are for commercial use only. This one is the Breville. It is the best. I tried the Cuisinart. It does not cook evenly. There's another one that had terrible reviews and I didn't even bother. So this is the Breville. I'll put the exact model number on the screen. One of the things that Roscoe prides itself on is having their own special mix for their waffles, and it is special. It's nothing like anything else you'll see on the market today. And one of the easiest ways to have a food blogger play in your face is for them to give you their Roscoe's chicken and waffle recipe. They will give you a solid buttermilk waffle, but it will not be Roscoe's. This is Roscoe's. So in the bowl, I have some all-purpose flour. To that, I'm going to add some yellow corn flour. To that, I'm also going to add some rice flour. This is sugar. Their waffle is quite sweet even before you add the syrup. This is baking soda. I'm using just a small amount. This is some baking powder also to assist in the rise. Tiny amount of salt for depth of flavor. This is cinnamon, not nutmeg, not allspice. They use a very small amount of cinnamon to just give it that special oomph. So I'm gonna mix up my dry ingredients. So now that we have the dry ingredients mixed, I want to talk a little bit about the wet ingredients. They use a mixture of both skim milk and buttermilk. A lot of recipes out there will use just buttermilk, but that's not the Roscoe's method. They use primarily skim milk with some buttermilk added. So I'm going to pour the buttermilk in. Roscoe's uses oil. They do not use butter. The only butter that they use is on top of the waffle after it's done. It's a very sweet waffle, and they use vanilla to enhance that flavor. 2 eggs. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix up all my wet ingredients. So the last step is just to whisk the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. This is the exact texture you're looking for. It is a little bit thinner than your average pancake batter, but that's what's gonna get you the authentic texture. The Roscoe's waffle is a very light waffle, so I have it set on a 1 and just actually a little bit underneath 1, and that's gonna get you the right color. I like to use a 1/2 cup scoop, and you're gonna use just under a 1/2 cup to fill it in. To get a neat waffle, I always use a spatula to spread the batter out before I close it. That just ensures that it ends up a little bit more even. All right, now that the beep went off and let me know that it's done, I open it up. Now, Roscoe's waffles are never particularly crispy, but if you want a crispy waffle, I would put it on a wire rack and never stack them. So I've already gone over the brine for the chicken, and I have washed that brine off of the chicken. Very important, you don't want it to be too salty. So a lot of people think they use a buttermilk soak. They do not. There is no buttermilk in their chicken. A lot of people think a mustard binder or an egg binder. No, they don't do any of that. The secret to the crunch of their chicken and the golden color that they achieve is diastatic malt powder. They put diastatic malt powder in their chicken breading. Another thing that helps them get the crunch on their chicken is by mixing the flour with some cornstarch. This here is baking soda. This is also going to help out with the dredge to give it the right texture. As far as seasonings go, Roscoe's keeps it pretty simple. They don't use smoked paprika like I've heard people say, any oregano or parsley, because I've closely inspected the breading. There are no red flakes, there are no green flakes. They do not season the chicken and the breading, they only season the breading. This is the accent, otherwise known as MSG. They absolutely do use it. They like to pretend that they don't. Salt. This is onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper. So I'm gonna give my dredge a good mix. So So I put the dredge into the brown paper bag and I'm gonna do these wings in batches. Although a lot of people like to joke about me being immune to getting flour on my dress, I absolutely am not. So for this part, I had to put on my apron. So after I shake up the breading and get it all coated, I'm gonna just sit it here to rest while the oil finishes heating up. Okay, so now that I have the oil up to temperature, I'm going to shake the excess off of the chicken and drop it in the fryer. And I do move the chicken around ever so often to help it cook more evenly. Once you have achieved this beautiful golden brown color, it's done. So to plate this up, I'm going to add my waffle. And like I mentioned, Roscoe's does not put any butter inside their waffle, but they do put butter on their waffle. What I have here is some butter that I whipped up. The Obama Special, which they have since renamed, always comes with 3 beautifully golden chicken wings. And Roscoe's is always served with Louisiana hot sauce and some standard breakfast syrup.